Hello friends, how are you today? I hope you're doing well. Today I wanted to come to you very quickly to share a story from Dark World Lightwork. Now this is a story that was actually in the book, and I just recently made the cover for the chapter called Pillar of Salt. And you can look at that on my tumblr.com, or you can look at it right now. I will put it up. And it made me think of how funny this chapter was and how funny this situation was. It's obviously a lot more funny looking back on it because it was not funny at the time. But the story really, even in the moment, I couldn't help but laugh because of how absolutely ridiculous it was. So basically, it is the tale of how once Clementine and I made it out of Las Vegas, barely by the skin of our teeth, in the desert heat, in the middle of COVID, during the lockdowns. Clementine and I made our pilgrimage out of Las Vegas. It took us 2 days because my car was in such bad shape that I could only drive in the basically sunrise moments, and up until about 9 a.m. And then after that, it was too hot to drive. And I couldn't drive at night because I was afraid to drive at night, and I didn't even have a cell phone at the time. I had no cell service. My phone, you know what? I'm not going to give all the information out because you have to read the book. But I had no cell service and everything. We made it to Huntington Beach, California, which you can read about how arduous the task was to get there. And I, a couple of weeks later, decided to try to come back to Las Vegas to pick up some baubles. It was a horrible, ill-fated idea, and we ended up getting lost because I did not have access to a computer because everything was locked down. So I couldn't print out any instructions, and I did not have a phone. So basically what I did was I got instructions. I used the Wi-Fi at a McDonald's to pull up the instructions. I couldn't print them out, so I just wrote them down, and I tried to get back to Las Vegas that way. I ended up getting lost. I almost ran out of gas. I ended up in a place called Amboy, and if you've ever been there, I don't know if it's Nevada or California. I think it's California. I guess it's a town, but it really consists of a single stoplight, a building that is very peculiar to me even to this day, but was very bizarre to me at night, and you'd have to read all about it, but it was very strange, and a random post office, which is so strange because there's nobody there to pick up the mail. I don't know who gets mail at the Amboy post office. Anyway, it was a scary place. I was already afraid because the sun was setting and we were running out of gas. And we end up having to stay there for the entire night. And this is where it gets really interesting. A cast of characters comes through. It was the strangest night. It could have been an entire movie, just that moment, just that chapter, just because of how bizarre the characters that came through. And one of them was a couple. Now, this is the weirdest thing. Of all the people who came, there was a few couples, and one of them was a couple. And I don't know if they saw me because at this point I had my seat all the way back and I was just basically scoping the place out barely with my eyes over the dashboard. And they pulled up under the lights near where there were gas pumps that may or may not work. I couldn't tell if they worked. And they had a photo shoot for about an hour and a half with a real doll, but the doll was a little girl. It was the creepiest thing I ever saw. It was like a lifelike 8-year-old girl in a dress, and they brought a chair and they had outfits, and the guy posed with the doll while the woman took photographs. And I watched them for like an hour and a half in awe of what the heck could they possibly be doing. I would love to figure out who those people were, and I would love to see those photographs, and I'd love to know what the heck they were doing and where do you get one of those creepy dolls. The whole thing was so bizarre because they have like wardrobe changes and stuff, and the guy didn't interact with the doll in a way that was like loving, like it was like a family thing. He just stood next to it almost like a ventriloquist. And he put it on his lap, almost like a ventriloquist dummy, but it was a lifelike doll. It was so crazy. At that point, at some point, I was just like, I was just praying. Can they just leave? Can they take the freak show to wherever they're trying to go? It was so crazy because it was probably like 2:30 in the morning. So I'm wondering, like, what the heck are you people on? Luckily, it clearly was a doll. but it was one of those really lifelike dolls, like a little bit too lifelike. That's just one of the crazy stories from Dark World Lightwork. It was funny, and the way I believe it's written in a really funny way, and crazy stuff like that happened to me over and over and over again. And I think the book honestly is kind of funny. Luckily, or incidentally, the my aunt's husband who read the book, he said that he was surprised at how funny it was. So I hope that other people feel that as well, because I do have quite a sense of humor, and I feel like I make a joke in every single chapter, and some of them are pretty dark, but there's always some peculiar ass thing occurring in my life just like that. And that was the third crazy interaction that I had that night. I had another interaction where the guy who came to help me and bring me gas, invited me to come and live in his trailer with him. It was like a movie. It was that chapter is amazing. It's called Pillar of Salt. You can read it in my book, Dark World Light Work, and you can see the cover art for the chapter on my tumblr.com, Dark World Light Work. Thank you. Love you. Bye. I always, why did I say it like that? Okay.